Besides my normal regular YouTube channel where I'm sharing my own personally coded EAs and other trading related stuff that I've learned myself over long 15 years, I thought it would be cool to look at stuff which is generally available on the internet, YouTube or otherwise, and automate it. Maybe some of those strategies are very profitable. And it will be a great way to learn to automate trading strategies as well, which is the general idea of the channel. Let's start today by looking at this 3 EMA strategy by ForexSignalTV, which has more than 2.5 million views. Maybe it is a good one. I will leave the backtesting to you guys because I know if I show the backtest, you will jump straight to it and I will defeat the entire purpose of learning to automate this stuff. So with no more shenanigans, let's start. The rules of the strategy are very simple though. So on the 1 hour chart, for sell trades, our price needs to be on the left side of the moving averages. So the idea is that the price is below the 8 EMA and the 8 EMA is below the 21 EMA. For the buy trend establishment, is going to be the other way around, where the price is above the 8 EMA, which is above the 21 EMA. Now, the moving averages can still remain in the same configuration, but if the price has moved above the moving averages, then we don't have a trading setup. Same goes here for the buy. If the price has come below the moving averages, even though the fast moving averages is still above the slow moving average, our trend analysis is inactive. We don't have a trading setup. If the price moves above these moving averages, so even though the moving averages are still in the same configuration, the price has now moved above the moving averages, then we don't have a trading setup. Same goes for the buy side of things, which is if the price has moved below the moving averages, even though the moving averages are in themselves in the right configuration, we don't have a trading setup. Once we have established the trend side of things, then we go to the 5-minute chart where the actual trading is going to happen. So the general idea is that the 8 EMA is above the 13 EMA, which is above the 21 EMA. And if then the price comes back and closes below the 8 EMA, as long as it doesn't close below the 21 EMA, we regard it as our trigger bar. Then in that case, we look back 5 candles from the trigger bar and we look for the highest point of those 5 candles. And then we put a buy stop at the high of those last 5 bars plus the 3 pips. Our stop loss goes below the trigger bar by 3 pips, which is going to be our risk. And then we have 2 TPs. We have TP1, which is 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. And once that is hit, we exit 50% of the trade and we move the stop loss for the remaining 50% of the trade to break even. And our second TP is going to be 2 times the risk. The sell trade is just the opposite of that. So once the price has moved back into the moving averages, as long as it doesn't close above the 21 moving average, we call it a trigger bar. And then we look back 5 candles. We put our sell stop below the lowest of the last 5 bar, minus 3 pips. And our stop loss goes 3 pips above our trigger bar. So that is our risk. And then we have the TP1 and TP2 exactly the same way. Once the TP1 is hit, we move the remaining position to break even so that we're still risking 1-to-1 risk to reward on the remaining open position. And now the last part is if there is a sell stop or a buy stop in place, but the price moves below the 21 EMA or above the 21 EMA in case of a sell trade, then the orders are canceled. So this is the entire strategy. Let's code it. We start by creating a new expert advisor, and I'm going to create it in the folder strategies from internet. So I just click next. Let's give it a name, 3 EMA by ForexSignalTV. And here I have the beginning template. I'm going to clean it up. So here we have the beginning template. I'll start by referencing to the trade.mqh file, which is here in the include folder in trade.mqh. And it basically has all the pre-written codes which MQL has already written so that we can use them to do trading operations. I'm going to use 3 classes, cTrade, which I'm assigning to a variable by the name trade. This is going to be used to place orders, modify orders, close orders, and those kind of things. Then we have the cPositionInfo, which is to get information on the positions which are currently open. And then the cOrderInfo, I'm assigning it to a variable order.info, which is going to be used to get the information on the orders which are currently sitting on the broker server. Once I have that, I'm going to create an enum. An enum is a variable type definition so that I can use this as a drop-down button later on. So the user can select fixed lots, percentage of balance, percentage of equity, or percentage of free margin as a choice for how he wants to calculate the lot size. And then I'm going to create an enum for the time where 0 is going to be inactive and then 100 hours, 200 hours, 300 hours so that we can also define a trading period. So start at 700 hours, end at 2100 hours and those kind of things. So I'm creating this enum so I can create a drop-down button later. After that, we create a section, moving averages profiles, where we're going to ask the user to define the moving averages profile. Even though the strategy defines very clearly it's 8 EMA, 13 EMA, and 21 EMA, but I'm giving the flexibility to the user so he can play around a little bit if he wants to. So what I'm asking the user to provide is first the time frame. So the trading time frame, which trading period is he going to be trading on? And according to the strategy, it's 5 minutes chart, but I'm giving the flexibility to the user to define it as 1 hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 minute, whichever way he wants. And then the 3 EMAs. So the trading fast moving average, trading middle moving average, and the slowest moving average for trading. So it's 8, 13, and 21. And then I'm asking the user to provide the time frame for the trend period. So the anchor chart, which is 1 hour chart in the strategy video, but I'm giving the flexibility to use others as well. And then there are 2 moving averages, the fast moving average and the slow moving average, which in the strategy video is 13 and 21. But if the user wants to select something else, he has the ability to change that. And then lastly, in the strategy video, the mode for the moving average is exponential. So we're starting with exponential, but at least the user now has the flexibility to choose simple as well if he wants to. And same for how the price is calculated, whether it's median, high-low, divided by 2, or something else. If I compile it now, and then go back to MetaTrader, here is our strategy. And if I pull it down and go to the input section, now I can see all of these inputs are available here. So it's 5 minute chart, 8, 13, and 21, 1 hour chart for the anchor. The choice is exponential, but you can also have simple, smooth, or linear. And then price can be high, low, close, open, or median price. How do you want to apply? How do you want to calculate the moving averages? The default values are what are described in the strategy video. Then the next thing I do is I create another section, which is the EA related variable. So I'm asking the user to now provide a lot type. What does he want to use as a lot type? And there I'm using the enum that I've created here. So now the user has the ability to select from this drop down of 4 different values. And if he chooses fixed lots, then he needs to provide the value here. And if he chooses one of the risk percentage profile, then he needs to say what is the risk percentage that he wants. If I compile it now and go back to MetaTrader, now we can see that the user has these 4 types available for him to select from the drop-down. And then based on his selection, he needs to either provide the fixed lots or provide the percentage. The next 3 variables I'm asking the user to provide are the input magic number. So that's the unique identification number for the EA. So EA can know which trade has been placed by him by itself, and which trades are not its own trade. So if you were manually trading, for example, in the same account, the EA will know that. And then a starting hour and end hour choice. So it's starting at 700 hours, 2100 hours. That's not part of the strategy video, but that I'm including just in case if somebody doesn't want to trade 24/7, but wants to specify specific hours. And then the expiration bars, I think it is also in the strategy video that we only keep the orders open for 12 bars, but I'm providing that flexibility. And then some general variables that I'm not asking the user to provide input on, but these are variables that I'm going to use myself. So for all the moving averages, I'm going to need handles. So I'm creating these 5 handles for the fastest moving average, middle, and slowest moving average on the trading chart, 5 minute chart, and then the fast and the slow moving average on the anchor chart, which is the trend setting chart. Then I'm going to be storing the values which come from these moving averages into this indicator buffer before I can assign it to these variables that I'm going to create. And then in the end, in order to check whether or not there is already a position open, I need to know how many buy totals are there and how many sell totals are there. So I'm creating these 2 variables so that I can store the values in them later on. Okay, then we go to the initialization of the EA, and this section of the EA is going to be run when the EA is initialized. So on the initialization, we set the magic input number by passing on the input magic number using the class that we have created here, the cTrade class, which we assigned to the variable trade. So now I can say trade set the magic expert number as our input magic number that the user provides here. And then I don't like to see grids on the chart, so I'm removing them by saying that for the current chart show grid as false. But that's just my own preference. And then I'm going to calculate these 5 moving averages. So I'm starting with the trading moving averages. So there are 3 of them. The fastest one is based on the fastest period, which is 8, then 13, and then 21. So 8, 13, and 21. So I'm passing on the variables, and I'm passing on the variables so that if the user changes things here, then those are automatically updated here as well. And then for the trend anchor chart of 1 hour, there I'm passing on the trend time frame, which is going to be the 1 hour or whatever the user selects. And then these two moving averages, 13 and 21 here, as fast and slow period. So I'm creating these handles here so I can use them later. So in that case, I also have to release these indicators when I'm stopping the EA. So on the initialization of the EA, we release these indicators. Then we go on to the on-tick function. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check for whether or not it's a new candle. And if you have been following my other channel, you know this is how we check whether or not it's a new bar. By looping through this function, starting at a previous time 0, and then storing the current time into and then getting the current time. And then if the previous time is not equal to current time, then we know it's a new candle. And then storing the value of the current time into the previous time, so that the next time the EA comes back here, the values match until the time there is a new candle. So this will return a true if it's a new candle. And if it's not a new candle, and this is a not sign, and if it's not a new candle, then in that case return, meaning exit the function and don't do anything below. So all the codes written above are going to be run on every tick, and all the codes written below are going to be run only on new candle. The next thing we do is we check for the start hour and the end hour. So I'm starting with an MQL time variable as time, and then I store the value of the current time into that time, but in the MQL date time structure. And what that does is now with that time, I have the possibility to select what day it is, what day of the week, what hour, minute, hour. So I can check that. So now I say that there is another variable I'm creating, hour now, and I'm storing the value of the hour into that. So now I know what hour it is on the broker server currently. And then I can check if it is below whatever is the starting hour input the user has provided here. So it is before the opening of the trading period. In that case, close all of the orders if there are any orders, and then return, meaning exit the function, don't do anything else. And then if it is above or equal to the input hour and the input hour is not 0, then in that case, close all the orders as well and return, meaning it is above or equal to when the trading period needs to end, and it is not inactive, because 0 would mean inactive. So if it is not 0 and it is above the EH input time, then in that case, close all the orders and return. So the trading stops then. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom and I'm going to create a function where I'm going to assign all of the values to the EMA. So I'm using the copy buffer method of MQL5, getting the value from the fastest trading moving average, which is the 8 moving average on the 5-minute chart, getting its first value. This is the main line, first value going back one index. This is the main line, getting the value of the previous candle, and we only want to get one value. So start from last bar, but get only one value. Don't go all the way to the beginning of the chart, and put it into the indicator buffer variable that we had created. And then because this indicator buffer now only has one value, so I'm going to assign that one value by indexing to 0. That's where the indexing of the indicator buffer starts, to the fastest moving average. And then I use the same method for handle of the trading MA middle, and then the slowest, and then going to the trend MA and fast and slow, and assigning these values to the relevant variables that we created up top here. So now I have all of the values of the moving averages stored in these variables. Once I have assigned this, I did for checking something, so I'm going to remove this. So now I can come back here on tick function, and I can go assign the EMA value. So once the trading period has started, because here if it hasn't started, it will return, exit the function. If it is above the trading period, if it is after the trading period, then also it's going to return and not do anything. But during the period between 700 hours and 2100 hours, the EA is going to come down here and assign the EMA values. Once it has assigned the EMA values, I now need to get all the other values that I need for the strategy. So I'm going to create these variables. So I'm getting the value of the last candle's open by using the IOpen function, sending the value of the symbol, the trading time frame, and getting the value 1 bar from the current bar. So that's the value of the last candle. And then the low of that and the high of that. So high, low, and open of the previous candle. Then I need to find out the lowest of the last 5 candles and the highest of the last 5 candles, because this is how the strategy works. So the way to do that is to first get the I lowest, which is going to give you from a starting point of the previous candle, go back 5 candles and get the candle number of, or how many candles to the left it is of the low, where the lowest of that 5-bar range has happened. So if it has happened on the 3rd bar, the return value is going to be 3. And if the return value is 3, now I can use the ILO function and say, well, whatever is the value came back from this one, get the lowest of that candle. Same I'm going to do for the high, but on the other side, so it's more high. So I'm starting from the previous candle, go back 5 candles, make that range, and come back with which one out of those 5 candles is the highest candle. Once I know it is candle number 3 or candle number 4, then I pass on that number 3 or 4 to this function to get the high of that candle. So now I have the highest and the lowest point of the last 5 candles as well. So I guess now we have everything that we need for the strategy. So let's check for the buy conditions. So for the buy condition, we know that the trading moving average fastest, which is the 8 moving average, should be above the 13, and 13 should be above the 21. And then on the slow moving chart or the anchor chart, the trend chart, the fast moving average should be above the slow moving average. And then the open of the price on the last candle should be above the trading moving average 8, the trading chart 8 moving average, and the low should be below, but it should not be below the lowest, meaning the 21 EMA. And then I also check additionally that the number of orders currently is less than 1, so there is no order pending, and there is no position open. So if there is no position open and there isn't already an order on the server, then we create these variables. So entry is going to be whatever was the highest point of the last 5 candles. This is how the strategy works, plus 3 pips. So that's going to be our stop order. And then the stop loss is going to be on the previous candle, the lowest point of the previous candle, minus 30 pips. Then the TP1 is going to be 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So I know that it's now going to be entry plus entry minus the stop loss. And TP2 is going to be the same, but times 2, because it's going to be 2 times the risk. So 2 risk to reward ratio. And based on this, then now I can calculate the lot size. So I send this value to a function that I'm going to create as calculate lot size, entry minus the stop loss. And if you follow my videos, you already know this calculate lot size function. So we start by the minimum volume, then we get the equity balance, the account balance, and the free margin. Then we look through what lot type the user has selected, whether he has selected fixed. If he has selected 0, which is fixed, then it's fixed lots and return the lots. But if he has selected 1, in that case, it's going to be based on account balance. If he has selected 2, then the risk is going to be based on equity. If he has selected 3, then it's going to be based on free margin. And then we get the value of the tick size, the tick value, and lot step. And we know that the lot size is going to be risk divided by, well, this, let's first calculate the money per lot step, which is the SL point, divided by the tick size times the tick value times the lot step. And then we know, and then we can take the risk and divide it by the money per lot step times the lot step. And that's what's going to give us the lots. I mean, this is the mathematical calculation of the thing. You can look at how this all works mathematically. And then we also check that if the volume limit is not 0, then in that case, whatever is the minimum of the lots and lots volume, that's what we select, because if the value of the calculation comes out to be below the minimum, then at least we need to go with the minimum. And same goes for the max volume and the minimum volume as well. And then we return the lots. So now we calculate the lot size, either calculate the lot size or get the fixed lot size. And then I'm setting up the expiration based on the expiration bars that the user is defining here as 12. So I'm saying whatever is the current time right now, plus whatever is the number of the bars, times, convert the time frame. So if it's on 5 minutes, convert it into seconds. 5-minute candle equals 300 seconds. So multiply it by the number of bars that the user selected and add it to the current time, and that's our expiration point. And once we have that, then I can just simply send the 2 buy stops. And I'm sending 2 because there is one which is going to have the TP as TP1, and there is a second one which is going to have the TP as TP2. And then we do exactly the same thing for the sell condition, but just in reverse. So this is how we send the orders. If I compile now, well, this we still have to define the close all order. Okay, let's go down here at the bottom, and there what we're going to do is we're just going to loop through all of the orders which are currently sitting on the server, selected by index, and then if the symbol is our symbol and the magic number is our magic number, then we know it is a trade placed by us on this chart, and in that case delete that order. If I compile again, I don't have any errors. Now the last thing we're going to do is, as you've seen in the strategy video, once TP1 is hit, we move the stop loss of the second trade to break even. So we're not taking the risk on that trade anymore and let it go towards TP2 if it goes that direction. So we're going to create a function set to break even. And there we're going to say, well, loop through all of the positions which are currently sitting on the server, select the position. And then if the magic number is our magic number and the position symbol is our symbol, then we know it is our trade for this symbol. Get the ticket number, get the entry point. And then if the position type is type buy, then modify that by sending the ticket number and then entry plus 5 points. So slightly above the entry position. So slightly above what was the open price. So we're setting it not exactly to the break even, but slightly above. If you want to set it exactly to the break even point, then just remove this 5 from here and just go like this. But I'm also putting this 5 because there are commission-based accounts, and in that case, if you haven't accounted for that commission by providing a 5 point, then your break-even is actually not break-even because you're paying commissions. And then if it's a sell type, then we put then we move the stop loss to entry, whatever was the entry point, the price open point, minus 5 points, while keeping the same take profit. So this is how we set the break-even. But in order to set the break even, we need to know that there used to be 2 trades and now there are 1. This is how we know that the first trade is closed. So I'm going to create a function and I'm going to call it is one position closed. And then what I'm doing is I'm starting the variable, the position total previous as 0. And then I say that get the current positions total and store it into the position total current. And then if the total positions currently are 2 and the previous is not equal to the current ones, then make it equal to the current one. So now the total previous variable has 2 trades stored in it. And from there on, if it was 2 and then all of a sudden the current total number of positions become 1, then we know one of the trades is closed. And in that case, we return a true value by saying that there used to be 2 trades and now there are 1. So 1 position has closed. And before we return true, then we set the value of the positions previous back again to 1 so that the next time this is only going to happen when it will become 2 again. Otherwise return false. So now that we have written that, we can go back up to the onTick function and just simply go that if, and this I'm doing before the is new bar because I have no clue when the trades are going to be closed. So I cannot check it on every bar. I will have to check it on every tick. So here I'm checking it on every tick that if one position is closed, meaning if there is a return of true, then in that case set to break even by running this function. So first run this function and see whether or not there used to be 2 trades and now there is 1. And if that is the case, then in that case run this function and set the last position which is open to break even. There are 2 words of caution here. The first one is that the way that I have written this calculate lot size, it is defining the risk for every trade, but we are sending 2 trades. So if you want 2% risk on total, then you have to assign a value of 1. Otherwise, you can also just divide this entire part by 2 so that the risk is spread between the 2. Let's do that. So this, and then divide by 2, and then divide by 2. And in case of fixed lots, you have to provide an even number. But in case of the fixed lots, you still have to remember that whatever lot size you're going to select, there are going to be 2 trades on the same lot size. So that's one. And then the second part is here, we're checking for orders total and positions total, but that is for the entire account. So if you have applied it on 4 different symbols and one of the symbol has a trade, the account has a trade. So it's not going to open up another account. So it's not going to open up another trade on the second symbol. Now, the way to go around that would be to come back up here and actually create these two variables, buy total and sell total, which I don't know if I have already created them here, I think. Yeah, these ones. So come back here. We don't need these two. So we don't need to create them again. But what we're going to do is we're going to loop through the total number of orders, select them by index, and then we go if it is a buy stop and it's on our symbol and our input magic number, then we increase the value of the buy total by 1. But one thing I will do definitely is I'll delete this, but we start with buy total 0 and sell total 0, and then we assign the value of the buy total. If there is an order pending and it is buy stop, and our symbol and input magic number is our input magic number, then increase. So it's 1. And then also loop through the positions, because if there is a position open, by looking at exactly the same thing. So if the position type is buy and symbol is ours and input magic number is ours, then increase the number of the buy total by 1. And in that case, we can go here and we can, instead of using this, we can just simply say if buy total is greater than 0, then we know that there is a buy, either a buy stop or a buy position. And then we go to the sell part, and exactly the same thing here. We go if the sell total is greater than 0. So this way you're now confining yourself to the chart that you're currently operating on. If I compile it now, I have these errors because I defined these as order info up here as order info, so I cannot use it as order. So I need to change this to order info, this as well to order info. I'll copy it, and order info, order info, order info, and order info, and compile, and I don't have any errors anymore. So this is the strategy in its basic format as we have seen in the strategy video. Code it, run some backtests, and see how it works for you guys. What I will probably do next week, I will share a slightly modified version of this, which is courtesy to one of the members, Milan, in our members area, who shared with me a slight modification, basically combining my scalping EA trailing stop losses to this strategy. And he says that the results are very, very good. So I'll share those modifications with you next week. So until next time, guys, stay safe and trade safe.